Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So let's talk about the notorious Steamboat Willie Origin Rare. The 1 million yen, the 7,500 US dollars, or even 10,000 US dollars I see these days. What's going on with it? Why is there so many conflicting opinions? There seems to be people that think it's overpriced, it's going to crash, it's been artificially pumped and hyped up, and yeah, they don't see this going well for some people and think people will be losing out on money shortly. There's another group of people that typically think it's going to keep going up long term. It's a great investment and has even more potential in terms of the price it is now. So they're completely opposite opinions, but I have noticed there seems to be things that each group have in common. The people who think that it's going to crash in price typically are from people that have been in the Weiss Schwarz TCG community for quite some time. They've been collecting, playing for years. The people that think it's going to keep going up, that long term it's going to do extremely well, I think these people typically seem to be fairly new to Weiss Schwarz, or this is their first few sets that they've collected or bought into. Now, let's talk about the reasons why these two different groups of people seem to have like the complete opposite opinion. I will then give my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor, so don't take any of my advice. This is just going to be my opinion on the end of what I think about the card personally. So the people that have been in the community, I think this is what makes Weiss Schwarz so unique, is just the fact that every set is a different IP. It adds so many variables to things like prices and how things are going to do long term, short term. And I think it's hard if you've been in the Weiss Schwarz TCG for some time, when you see a set like this blow up and you see insane prices just flying around for cards that have just come out, it's very easy to think that the price is just going to come straight back down, because this has happened with fairly similar sets before. And even the more normal anime-based sets, in the last year or so, we've seen it with things like Mushoku Tensei with the trial deck SP. It went up to 1,000, it came down. It's kind of back up at 1,000 to be honest now, but it seems to happen quite often with some chase cards. Same with Dragon Maid and the SP from the trial deck. It shot up, it was about 1,000 US dollars. I think now it's about 500. So that is quite normal for TCGs, to be honest. When a new set comes out and there's a chase card, the price sort of rockets. And then after a month or two, when more sets start coming out and people's attention move from that set to the new one, the card starts to come down in price. So I think obviously they're expecting a similar thing to happen here. Now, obviously Disney, the IP, and yeah, Disney itself is very different and attracts a lot of different people to the set that an anime-based set would, like more of a normal Weiss Schwarz set would. So that is definitely something we need to consider. So I think comparing this set, and perhaps what people are doing is they're looking at this the same way that Pixar had the Luxo Rares, which seem to be roughly equally as hard to pull as the Steamboat Willie. It was very rare. It wasn't 1 per 2 cases. It was a lot more than that. So I don't think we're ever going to know exactly the case pull rates. It's just very rare and hard to pull. But with Pixar, you had the Luxo Rares. As soon as the set came out, and the set did very, very well, it got a lot of people buying Weiss Schwarz Pixar that probably had never bought Weiss Schwarz before. And those Luxo Rares, I think, started off at around 3,000 US dollars. I think if you look now, they probably only sell for around 1,000 US dollars or 1,500 US dollars at best. So they did come crashing back down. The same thing with Marvel. Marvel didn't have a card that was as rare as that, but in general, when Marvel came out in Japanese, all of the prices were very high near the start of the release. As time went on, those prices dropped off. So I think the people in the Weiss Schwarz community who have been there for some time are expecting the same thing to happen here. They think that once this set has been out for some time and attention starts to go elsewhere, the prices will come down. Now, obviously, the other side of things is that there's a lot of people that don't agree with this and they think the opposite. And I think the reasoning they have is it's because it's Disney. I know Pixar is like a subset of Disney, but they are putting the importance on the fact, on the Disney brand. They're not necessarily looking at it as this is Weiss Schwarz Disney. They're more looking at it as this is a Disney set. So yes, potentially long term this could hold value because it does have the weight of Disney slapped on it. So we really don't, I mean, all of this is pure speculation. On both sides, it's pure speculation. Everyone's trying to make the best educated guess that they can based on the information that they know. So people within Weiss Schwarz are looking at it with their opinion from what they've seen with other Weiss Schwarz sets, and people from the other side are looking at it without that Weiss Schwarz knowledge. And I think both could learn a little bit from each other perhaps. And I mean, we won't really know until time goes on and we see what happens with the price of this card. So I think the most important thing is it sort of relies on the people buying the actual Origin Rare card, what they are planning on doing with it. If 80% of people who are buying this are planning to get it, grade it, and then sell it for some profit, the price is obviously going to crash. If 80% of people buying this card are planning to get it, grade it, or not grade it, but just keep it and hold it long term, then potentially the price will be very stable. So it does seem there are a fair few copies of this card out there. I think if I had to make some sort of guess at this point, I think I would go with perhaps maybe 30 copies are out there floating around. Yeah, it really depends on what the people buying this card are actually going to do with it as to how it's going to perform short term anyway. Now, if I had this card myself, I think potentially it could have done well short term. I mean, potentially it has. I haven't looked at prices. I've seen 10,000 quoted. I know that after release, it was sold, 3 copies sold very quickly for $7,500 within the first few days of release on Mercari. I haven't really checked prices, so potentially it could be at 10,000. Realistically, I've heard other things that it's also dropping in price, so I don't actually know. I think a lot of these sales could go private because of the sheer value of it. Now, if I had this card myself, I think potentially short term it could have done well, but there's one big thing that would really put me off, and that is the fact that Disney Lorcana will be coming out this year. So because of those people that came into this set purely for Disney, I say they probably nearly outweigh the amount of people who bought this set because it was Weiss Schwarz. So what do you think will happen when Disney Lorcana comes out? I reckon that all those people that came into Weiss Schwarz Disney 100 for the Disney cards will look and start collecting and buying Disney Lorcana. And let's be honest, we all know what happens when a large group, a large demand suddenly shifts onto a completely different TCG or a completely different set. All of those people start collecting those cards, and Disney 100 is likely to have a massive drop in demand. And I can't remember the exact release date of Lorcana, but I believe it was in a fair few months from now. So that would worry me a lot if I owned the card, because I potentially think as time goes on and we get closer and closer to Lorcana, I think that's when we will start to see the Steamboat Willie start dropping in price. And I mean, if you watched any of my other videos, you'll know that I actually really liked this card when I saw it. When I saw that revealed, I didn't know how rare it was, and I was hoping to get it until I found out that it was like the rarest card in the set. And I just accepted from that point that I probably wasn't going to own it. Despite the fact that I really liked it when I saw it, if I had pulled that card, within a few days I would have put it on eBay and just let it auction off and just sold it at whatever it went for. Because me personally, the price of that card, I would want to sell it and get that money and put it into different cards. For me, I don't value it enough to assign $7,500 to it. If you love Disney and Disney is like your all-time favorite franchise, then obviously that makes sense. Like if you wanted to have that card because it's so rare and expensive, I completely understand that, because there would be other cards that I would buy for the same value and I would happily buy them. But yeah, for me personally, I would rather sell that and buy perhaps prize or trophy cards in Weiss Schwarz and things like that things that I've been after for a long time and probably thought that I wouldn't get. Now obviously I didn't pull the cards, so I can't do that and I won't get those cards, but I just wanted to say me personally, like what I would do. But yeah, if you love Disney, I completely understand why you'd want to own the card. But this is pure speculation. No one really knows what's going to happen. Anything could happen. Like some big whales and investors could come in and buy out the card. Like there are people out there that collect and invest in TCGs that have millions and millions of pounds and dollars, and they could come in and buy like 80% of these Steamboat Willie cards out. And yes, if they did that, then perhaps the price would go up because they could hold the cards and, you know, manipulate the market in that way to keep the price high. But I'm just giving my opinion on what I think will happen if we don't take anything like that, anything like some crazy unforeseen event to come into play. Again, this is just my opinion. Take what you want from it, disagree with it, let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and I'll see you in the next video.